What up, nerds? I'm Jared, and this is Changelog News for the week of Monday, November 21st, 2022. Let's do it. The top story from Sunday's edition of Changelog Weekly was Matt Healy announcing your next smart home device is a $30 used Kindle. Matt says, quote, "A lot of tools that used to be separate have now converged into one, the phone. You might not buy another camera again, and you probably won't buy a calculator. For the most part, it's a good trade-off. What we lose in the tactile pleasures of a good single-purpose device, we gain back tenfold in having all those devices in our pocket all the time. That's all fine for calculators, cameras, music players, and the like, but our phones are also the nexus of all kinds of data we want pushed to us. News, messages, notifications, alerts, status updates, things we want to know about without going looking for them. A phone isn't actually great for this kind of ambient awareness. It's usually in a pocket or purse, so the ways it can get our attention are limited. A buzz, a notification on the lock screen, a red dot on an app icon. I can choose to let myself be interrupted, or I can compulsively check in to see what the latest alerts might be. I found myself wanting a less intrusive channel for ambient data, something I can glance at in passing without giving my full attention or opening myself up to whatever other interruptions my phone might have in store. It should be easy to check, but just as easy to ignore." End quote. The device he landed on is, you guessed it, a Wi-Fi connected Kindle 4 mounted on the wall. In the post, he walks you through why this is the perfect setup, why e-ink, why a Kindle, why a screenshot of a web page. And he also provides instructions on how you can set up a $30 Kindle to do the same. Amidst all the Twitter turmoil, Mastodon is busting at the seams as technologists from all around the world turn to the Fediverse and ActivityPub as a potential answer to their social networking woes. As a result, I spent some time last week setting up an official changelog instance hosted by our partners at Fly.io. It was pretty easy thanks to Docker and a config repo by Aman Gupta Karmani that I forked and customized for our use. I'll link to his and our fork in the show notes if you're curious how everything's wired together.
Streaming stuff on the internet. Why? Tubes. The internet is tubes.
Adam and I first spoke with Mastodon creator Eugene Rochko in September of 2018. That was episode number 315 of the Changelog, which, it turns out, is more relevant today than ever.
And so in March 2016, I just wanted to check, well, how is that GNU Social thing doing right now? And I saw that it was still alive, and but it obviously looked kind of awful visually. So I was like, I like using TweetDeck. I kind of want to make an interface for it that works like TweetDeck and that looks good, and maybe people will switch. But I didn't have any big ambitions about that. I just thought I'd make something that people who already use GNU Social would just switch to. I wasn't expecting anyone from outside that circle to make a jump. But I soon found that GNU Social had a rather arcane code base, very old style PHP, and I just shuddered and I kind of decided to try starting from scratch.
We called that episode Join the Federation? Mastodon awaits. And I did set up a changelog account on mastodon.social after publishing, but we never ended up using it. I guess Mastodon had to wait a few years for us to finally join the Federation, but we're here now, and you can find all of our accounts at changelog.social/directory. The AI in your dev tools revolution continues apace.
Come with me if you want to live.
This time, Anurag Bhagsain put GPT-3 all up in your CLI, answering your questions.
Stay here. I'll be back.
After installing with NPM and configuring your OpenAI API key, you can ask it how to do things, such as the command AI ask check process running on port 8000. It will take that question, hit OpenAI's GPT-3 API, and return its best guess at the matching command. In this case, LSOF-I TCP:8000.
Trust me.
Which is better, bad software architecture or no architecture at all? Kirill Rogovoy argues it's the latter.
So you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah!
He says, quote, "It took me several years to learn how to write code that scales to tens of team members and 1 million lines of code. It took even more time to learn to write stupid code again."
Just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber, you go and do something like this. And totally redeem yourself!
Turns out, building a solid architecture in your code can easily be busy work and procrastination. Turns out you can waste a lot of energy trying to get rid of all code duplication and coming up with powerful abstractions to support future use cases. Turns out one part of your code can intentionally be a well-thought, protected piece of engineering marvel, while the other one should get you fired. End quote. He doesn't claim to have the answers yet, but shares a few practical heuristics that helped him avoid poor outcomes. 1. No code is equal. 2. Let it beg for structure first. And 3. Always start with 1. If you want to know what exactly those things mean, read the post. That is the news for now, but stick around for a fun bonus conversation with Mish Manners in the hallway track at ATO 22. Coming up on Friday, we revisit last fall's episode with Gergely Rose on the insane tech hiring market. Things couldn't be more different than they were a year ago, and Gergely has been tracking and reporting on all the goings-on. He has some great insights on where we're headed, solid thoughts on how to avoid being laid off if possible, and actionable advice about moves you can make to get back on your feet quickly. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Let's start with the NFC.
Yes.
So before
Oh, yes.
we were just sitting over there, you lost it earlier. You found it.
I did.
Give
What is
us
this?
a short story. The NFC, what does it do? And then tell us what happened when you lost it
So
and you found
it's
it.
a little NFC chip inside a resin cast. And when you can use like a thing called NFC tools. They're available on iPhone or Android. And you can program that little chip to do whatever you want. So it could be, so for mine, it's programmed to do one single action, which is take me to a website in the browser. So if I tap it on your phone, I've got one set up to go to my Twitter, and I've got one set up to go to my website.
So can you tap my phone with that and take me to your site so I can follow you? Is that, is that the purpose?
Exactly. So if, like,
Let's do it.
So tapping you now.
Well, do I have to be
Well, it's an iPhone.
It's
so
unlocked.
Hang out. It's happening.
on the back?
I've found problems with iPhone.
Maybe I have a blocker
because
on the
they
NFC.
usually have blockers on them.
Let's see. Let's take it out of the case. Maybe this is NFC blocking
Here,
case.
try mine. Mine's naked.
iPhone-
Try
Yours
mine.
is naked,
Mine's
dude.
naked.
iPhones tend to work on the front.
I feel like maybe you're casting a spell on my phone right now.
Some people say like, oh, if it was a security conference, we'd never be doing this.
Oh, Twitter NFC tag.
Yeah, there you
Open
go.
in
So
Twitter.
there you go. So I tapped my little, it's a little Xbox controller. Yeah, and it takes you to my
Mish,
Twitter.
sweet.
So
I'm on her
instead of-
Twitter.
So a lot of people say, oh, what's your Twitter handle? You gotta open up the app, gotta go to the thing, gotta type in your handle.
Right.
It just does all of it in one go.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So you just carry around a couple of those. They're like a
So
little
I've got them
it's like a
on my
little piece
little-
of plastic. It's like a keychain.
Yeah. So I have
And they
two
look
of them
like
on
a
keychain.
Nintendo
So
remote.
you can see one there. So one's a PlayStation controller.
Right.
And the other one's a Xbox controller, because I like both.
Right.
And
That's
then
cool.
there's one there that was missing, well, still is missing, but it's in my pocket now. But it came off, and I was like, I better tweet it out that I've lost it and open source the shiz out of this thing, and hopefully the community can find it.
It's just
Turns
I
out
was
I
down there at
found it
Major League
myself.
Hacking, and I saw her. She was like looking for something. I'm like, did you lose something? And she says, yes. But I had no idea what you said, really. But I empathized. I was like, I'm so sorry that you lost this thing. And then
found
she's
it.
on Twitter, and she's like, I'm going to get Twitter to get this thing for me. And I'm like, okay,
I
great.
can get Twitter to find my NFC Twitter chip.
So this is the loop being closed. She found it.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I did find it. So it was on the ground on a strip of black plastic, hence why I missed it the first time.
But it's very colorful,
But
right? Isn't it colorful?
It is. Well, this one.
Well, that one is.
This one's more colorful. The other one's like a dull blue color, so
Right.
it really blended into the tape. And yeah, it was on the ground between the retro desk and security.
And where
and
does that one go?
This one goes straight to Twitter. So that was the one I tweeted.
That's the one.
what
Okay,
she
just-
then
and
this
that's your
one-
link tree. Is that what that is? A link tree?
Basically a link
But
tree.
is it the Michelle tree?
It's mishmanners.info.
Mish Manners? Okay.
So I built my own link tree because I didn't like link tree.
Gotcha. Okay.
Awesome. So how do you program the thing?
So all you do is download an app called NFC Tools. It's on iOS or Android, and you just tap the chip that you want to program and say, give it like an
action.
Like an action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they can just do
and then-
one thing.
Yeah, it just does one thing, and then if you want, you can lock it. So what Michelle does when she's at a conference, she'll leave them like in a pile. She'll give them out to people. It's got her Twitter on it. They can tap it, follow Twitter, and then she's left it unlocked so that you can then program it yourself.
Right.
And then she
Many times.
encourages you to then lock it, so if it's not
Right.
lying around, no one can just randomly
reprogram it, because then you start using it and it's like, well, now it's no longer the thing you thought it was doing. Well, I've seen people do these things for like garage door openers. So instead of having your actual garage door open, I was telling Michelle this earlier, instead of having your actual garage door opener in your car, which if somebody breaks into your car, pushes that thing, they can get into your garage, and that's usually the second door in is usually the secure one, but they can get in your garage, which has lots of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Your car for sure, in most cases, or
a bunch of boxes full of gear.
boxes, your trash potentially, and other things you may not want them to get into. Let's just say. So instead, you put an NFC there, and it's biometric to your phone. So you have to open your phone, BU, and then use the NFC, which would then open your garage door.
Yeah, we've
What do you
got
mean
something
BU?
similar
Oh,
now.
to your phone.
As in,
Your
like,
phone.
it's biometric unlock.
It's-
Either you got to put your own PIN number
It's defense in depth.
Lots of interesting.
Yeah,
do
and
you
you
have them
can
around your
add-
house at all, or do you just use it for
Well,
this?
I'm in an apartment, but we have, like, they just installed, like, a similar system, and it's an app that I can, like, download, add it in, and say, yep, this is my primary residence. I can set up, like, a network and be like, I live here, my housemate also lives here, so we can both use our own biometric unlocks to get in.
Right.
And it also means that they can call me on my phone, I can click a button, see the camera, as long as I'm connected to the internet, and see who's home, go, oh yeah, there's a package, I'm in America, there's a dude standing outside my house in Melbourne, Australia, yep, let him in. With
Is
a
that
package.
right?
Yeah.
Just like that, because of NFC.
Well,
Because they use it
that
there.
one's not specifically NFC, that one's going over the internet.
Right.
So that one's more like, I mean, there is an NFC chip that we have as well, but it's, unfortunately, the system is not advanced enough to allow you to add your own
Right.
NFCs,
Right.
and it's obviously not an open system, so
What-
I can't just go and program my own in
Right.
there.
What they're meant to do, though, is put essentially programmability into the real world that you control and can lock, and you can sprinkle throughout your house. Turn on
Problem is-
lights, doing different things, household automations with you and your family. I'm me, so when I tap mine, it could be the same NFC with the action, but I'm me, so I can see when I do this action, it does, the lights this way. It dims it to 50%,
Totally.
right? You can do-
Question.
The
Can it do the laundry for me?
I wish.
I love it. Well, I'm sad
What?
because we sent you a shirt, and I didn't see you wear that shirt.
Oh, she didn't know we were going to be
I
here.
know. I know you
I thought
did.
for sure at this conference you'd wear it. Knowing
Well,
we'd be here, you knew we'd be
She
here.
works for
so-
GitHub. She's obligated.
I'm kidding. I'm stretching the truth. I'm being funny.
I was about to say yesterday that I got the shirt.
Yeah.
But I'm very impressed that you remembered
Yeah.
that you sent me a
Yeah.
shirt. Because I love that shirt.
Yeah.
It's a really nice
It's
shirt.
the best shirt ever.
I wear it like this. Like I've got my current GitHub shirt on, which is, the grey shirt, the jeans, and the plaid over the top.
Right.
Is that
Yeah,
your
that's how I
that's your
wear-
uniform?
It's part of
That's
uniform.
how I wear my Changelog shirt.
Please
With
wear
my
Love it.
maintainer, maintainer.
It will last.
I'm even a bigger maintainer now. I've got a bigger project.
Well,
Well, it's not really that big, but
But bigger.
Well, it's not.
it's bigger.
She's backtracking a little bit. Hang on a second.
It's bigger. But yeah, I started a project for Hacktoberfest this year
Yeah.
called Mish Friendly Food. So my name's Mish, obviously. And every time I go out for dinner or go somewhere, people who come out with me understand that I have a lot of dietary issues. Like I can't gluten-free, dairy-free. I'm allergic to like mango, potato, banana, coconut, chickpeas,
Holy
cashew.
cow.
Like just there's a whole thing. So whenever I go traveling, especially to a place that's not English as a first language, sometimes I don't even know what gluten is. Like to the point where one guy was like, bananas. Can you eat bananas? Do they have gluten in them?
They do not have gluten in them.
No, they don't have gluten, but I'm allergic to bananas. I think he misunderstood me, so some poor soul wandering around thinking bananas have gluten in them. So we were chatting about this at lunchtime, at breakfast when we were recently in Norway, and a bunch of us were sitting around, and one girl was like, I need something to work on for, Hacktoberfest. And I was like, oh yeah, cool. And then we just got chatting about this, my dietary stuff, and I was like, it's really funny. We're at dinner the night before, and there was pizza, and obviously pizza is not gluten-free, but I said to the guy, is there any Mish-friendly pizza, or are we going to have Mish-friendly pizza there? He sends me a message back about half an hour later being like, I've spent the last half an hour Googling what Mish-friendly food is.
Oh, gosh.
Because he thought it was an actual dietary
Makes sense.
category, which makes sense. And then someone was like, you should SEO that. And I'm like, that would actually be really cool. So someone searched for it, and then someone's like, why don't we start that, this could be a thing. And then it just got we're like, cool, we're going to do this for Hacktoberfest. So it's a online app, just like a web app, where you go to the website, mishfriendlyfood.com, because I wanted to call it something cool, and everyone's like, no, Mishfriendly
No, you
Food
got
is like
the-
the coolest
get
thing.
that
.com
SEO.
for sure.
So I have .com,
Mishfriendlyfood.
mishfriendlyfood.com, and you can go there and you can type in your dietary requirements or allergies, then you can select the language you want to translate it into and
No
then have
way.
the translation. So
That's so cool.
For Hacktoberfest, I managed to get a bunch of different translated languages, so a whole bunch of people came and contributed for that. People helped me build the site, so we did a JSON database, set it up in, first of all, it was this whole big, do we do React, do we do Astro, do we do something else, and then it ended up being Astro, so we set up the Astro database side of it, and then we've got the website working, got all the translations there, got a little bit of search functionality happening, and then eventually it's going to be, you can print it out in a cute little card, digital or physical, and then you can hit a button to do some Twilio integrations so it sends you a text message of your result. So if you've got dietary requirements, you can travel,
Wow.
and rest
I love it.
assured that you know, yeah.
Boom.
So
What
I
does
learned
it print out for you? What's the result? Does it just say how to say it in that language?
No, it just gives it like the text of that language.
Okay.
So if it's chicken, it'll print out, I think it was poisson in French.
Right, okay.
Yeah, but like usually people got like a list. But actually this is a good thing to riff on. So while doing that, I encountered a lot of different, not issues, but things that I had to learn and work through as a quote unquote maintainer for this. So a whole bunch of people were committing to stuff at the same time, and someone changed all the file structure while there was all these commits. And I was like, this is good. And I was talking about a live stream, and someone was like, yeah, I saw that happen. Was like, Misha's going to have fun with that.
Yeah.
So that was fun. So a
So
little
that
bit
was
of
fun.
merge conflict, not just within a file, but within like the whole
whole
structure, which
repo.
means you can't do it in the GitHub UI.
Right.
Got to do it some other ways. So that
Right.
was fun. Things like, pull requests, and people have got multiple things in one was interesting. Even things like doing auto-generated release notes. I learned all this like cool stuff that
Yeah.
because I have, you've sent me a t-shirt
Yeah.
as a maintainer. So I've done a little bit of other stuff before, and there's like a bunch of people contributing, but
Right.
not all at once.
Yeah.
Right,
So
right.
this
All
was
that
very
excitement.
interesting. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Everybody has a hard time saying they're a maintainer. Like you kind of said, quote unquote maintainer,
Yeah.
right? And then we had another issue where we were on a show and they had to like justify them being a maintainer. I'm like, listen, you're a maintainer. Like they had to be like, they were like,
Well, the
Not the-
reason I say quote unquote is because I'm relatively new. They're not big projects. Like I'm not a big, but you are still a maintainer. It's just you're not
Absolutely.
like a big maintainer, or you might not be an experienced maintainer.
right.
Like, I've got
right.
some experience.
There's
but not
tiers
much.
and categories to being a maintainer.
Exactly. Just like
I
saying,
understand.
like some people come in and go, oh yeah, I've like not really a developer. I've done a little bit of code, but
Right.
not much. So it's like, well, you kind of are a developer. There's
Right.
different levels, right?
Then they show you what they built, and you're like, excuse me?
What?
you're
Well, they're like,
you're-
I'm
you're-
not. You got the game. I'm not a gamer. Oh yeah, let's sit down and play. Oh yeah, you're a gamer.
Yeah, totally.
Exactly. Yeah. What else?
We
And
have
it-
talked a little bit about. You could talk about my talk that I gave today. I gave a talk
Oh,
today.
you gave a talk?
Yeah,
What
about automatically generating your release notes, but not just that, like automating your entire release process.
Right.
And also like the pain points that maintainers face around doing releases. So things like having to write notes or having to like ship and package things, having to bump things to different versions. So yeah, it was ended up being a really good talk. We talked through that whole process. And when you give a talk and people in the audience and they've had like that kind of experience because they're just sitting there going,
Right.
yeah, they might even say out loud too.
And then some people, like when I'm showing them like how to automate this, they're just like, oh wow, wow, oh wow, and I'm just like, okay, the talk's good.
Nice. Is this talk going to live anywhere? Are these notes? How do I do
Well,
this stuff?
Well,
I'm glad you asked. You could scan my NFTs too. So I was in a room that wasn't live streamed, but I'm a bit of a content creator, so I recorded the whole thing myself. I'll be creating a YouTube video out of it.
Okay.
But I also wrote a blog post on it as well. So if you go to the dev.to, so the practical dev site, under my username, Mish Manners, I wrote an article. What did I title it? Why do releases? How to automate the release process, or something around that, which is essentially my entire
a very
talk.
catchy title.
Yeah. So, and like the big thing is like a big ship with ship it on the top.
We love ship it.
Ship it.
Ship it.
We love ship it around here.
So that blog post is essentially my entire talk distilled down into
Nice.
words, and also links out to other tutorials and videos I've
Cool.
done. And then you can also go to my GitHub repository, github.com/Mish Manners, and go to my talks and presentations. There's a one there for this conference, All Things Open, and it's got a list of all the links and references and everything I used in my talk,
Wow.
including that blog post.
We'll link that
Thorough.
up. Very thorough.
Very thorough. Appreciate that.
Multi-medium, multi-location.
She's a bit of a content creator. She's a step ahead.
I learned that one from B. Dougie, who runs open sourced. He used to be my boss.
He's the Beyonce of open source, I hear.
Yeah, he's the Beyonce of open source. He used to be my boss. He's awesome.
He is
There he is
awesome.
right there.
Shout out to B. Dougie.
Shout out to B.
I
Dougie.
literally just shouted you out on this podcast.
Right here.
And then he just happens to be
and he's right over
standing
there.
right next to me.
Well,
There we
Mish,
go.
thanks so much for coming on the show. We appreciate
Thank you so
it.
much for having me.
Awesome.
I do actually. I've been trying to track him down.
There he is.
So long. Thank you for that. How do I get this?
Well,
Do you have a chip?
QR code.